Okay, we'll start chanting the invocation mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So, in the last session, we reiterated on the part that the order of this Atma Vidya, the way it's going to succeed, is based on certain ingredients, and based on those necessary ingredients, there are two basic steps. One is preparation of mind, which is Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi is achieving purification of mind through sadhana. And what are these sadhanas? It was mentioned in Vivekachudhamani itself in the initial verses. And these have to be practiced. And this practices alone will be purifying the mind, conditioning the mind, preparing an open mind and a clean slate on which this pramana, so this Veda Pramana, Vedanta Shastra is called a Pramana. So this Pramana can operate. So Pramana is basically body of knowledge. So just like we have the five senses which reveal the sense objects, Veda Pramana has to be used for understanding Atma, because Atma is revealed by Veda Pramana only. It is not understood by five senses. Only by using the sixth sense, that is why the sixth sense is used figuratively. You need another sense to understand oneself, the ultimate. So preparation of mind was presented as one of the main ingredients, and then based on preparation of mind, one can go with the inquiry of the self as presented by Vedanta Shastra, and one can come out successful, thereby getting moksha. And moksha is presented as getting freed from bondage. This is what moksha is all about. Moksha is not a location to which place people will have to book tickets. So that is not moksha. And as our Swamiji says, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, many religions, they basically operate like tour operators, where each of them want to send the people who subscribe to their system to a particular moksha, heaven, whatever they call it. And they operate as like a tour operators, and that is not what is meant in Vedanta. Vedanta is very clear. Moksha is right now here. This is what Vedanta is. If someone is attending from Pune, or someone is attending from Dehradun, even if someone attends from USA, moksha is for them where they are. They don't need to go to any particular place. This Kailasha or Vaikuntha, they are all figurative, and no tourism is promoted by Vedanta. In Veda Purva, for Upasana, many things might be told, because mind needs certain gross ideas for it to cling on to, and they are conducive for the pursuit alone. But then one has to grow out of it to come out of bondage. Bondage is something which has to be recognized at all levels. If one visits a temple, for maybe some immediate relief, and they get the relief, that's fine. But if one feels that without going to the temple, one is unhappy, here bondage is created. The very idea of Vedas and Vedanta is that one has to be finally coming out of this bondage and be with oneself, understanding oneself to be everything. The default setting which we have when we are born is that we are a limited being. And that's where that ignorance is what is creating problem. So the ignorance about self creates the problem. And since Vedanta and Veda Shastra being Shruti again being a product of Maya, and Maya itself has its being in Brahman, since it has that vision, since it knows where the things begun, it can present saying, hey, just point to this problem, this is where the problem is, ignorance is the problem, just solve that problem, you are already free. So freedom is not a product which you have to go and buy from a supermarket. It is available with you. For example, if you have already jeans and t-shirt, and if you think you don't have it, you'll have to go out and buy it. But if someone comes and says that, no, you just forgot that you have this particular dress, what you want to buy, just open your cupboard, it is right there, maybe in the last location where everything else is covering it. Uncover it, it is already there. So Vedanta Shastra is fetching us something which is already there with us. Initially we used the word with us, and finally it is not anything to do with us, basically it is us itself. So this is how it presents finally. So this being the background, ignorance about oneself being the background, that is where the self-identification part alone has to be examined. So the next verse talks about that only. It talks a little bit about how the process looks. For an example, so there is one particular grass, this is called munja grass, it is mentioned here actually. If I take it to be this if I take it to be this durva kind of, that kind of a grass. So normally when we take out durva grass is very auspicious for worshipping Ganesha. Okay, so I'm just taking that example of durva here. I have a doubt whether munja is the same as durva. That's the reason I'm taking durva as the example here. So when we ourselves go and collect these flowers or this grass ourselves, one has to first understand how this durva looks. The person should know actually how durva looks, so that he can identify that out of everything that is available on the ground. So as you walk on the ground, it is not that this place is only of munja grass. In fact, fortunately or unfortunately, these days you have certain crop protection or pesticides or whatever you can call it, herbicides or whatever. Since I worked in such companies, I know this kind of products. You will be amazed to know that in Punjab, those people who do this wheat farming, obviously in any land you will have many things growing because the other seeds are also there. It just they just need a conducive soil and conducive environment to grow. So when the soil has water, when it is wet, automatically seeds which are normally there present, they sprout and they grow. Now productivity wise, if everything other than wheat, anything other than wheat, if it grows in that particular field, automatically they are going to also share the nourishment what is available there in that particular land. So there are companies which have given a solution to a farmer saying that okay, use this chemical before sowing your wheat seed. Just sow this chemical once you prepare the land. And what is the impact of it? The impact of it is that it just defunctionalizes every seed that is just beneath the ground. just whatever is there, whatever seed is there, this herbicide or whatever you can call it, goes and just kills and it deactivates all those seeds. Now, this farmer can just go and plant his, sow his wheat seeds. Only that will grow. And this particular chemical is so intelligent that it will not affect wheat. So, one can imagine that, after that, when you put this wheat seed, what will happen? It doesn't get affected. So, this kind of, engineering, kind of re-engineering is available, and this is sold in the market, and farmers also use it. So, I used it in the sense of, identifying. So it exactly identifies which one is wheat and which one is not. Similarly, when we go and we look at land, if no one has sowed that kind of crop protection chemicals, naturally you will see that you will have many species that grow in a particular place. So because of the seeds getting spread all the time by their own ways and mechanism of getting spread, whatever seed is available there, all the things grow. Now, if you have the task to just go collect this munja grass or this durva grass, come back with a collection of 108 minimum so that you can do archana to Ganeshji, for example, if this is your task. First thing you should know is how this looks. If you have never seen it before, first you have to ask them for a sample. Boss, how does this look? Let me know first. Is it a flower, or is it a seed, or is it leaf? Is it a normal leaf, or is it looking like a grass? So basically, for a person who's not initiated into this, but he knows he needs that, he has to be told what is the nature of that, so that this person can differentiate it from all other species and pluck that as well. In fact, even if you have to, even after you identify that munja grass itself, durva again, wherever I say munja, you can take it as durva. So in durva, what we do is you have this cluster of it actually. Of them, we pick up only the topmost one. So I think which has 2 or 3 kind of, that stack comes out very easily actually. It's like the way it's stacked, one above the other, like a cone on another cone kind of thing. So that's how it is arranged. So when you pick it up, it comes out very easily actually. That part alone has to be taken for that puja. This is how it is done. So within that also, you have to differentiate and take only that. So this example is very nicely given here. So here what is given is that, okay, as a person who is given this task of identifying that particular item, whatever item it is, he goes, first he has to separate that out from all other species, and within that also he has to separate the right stack and bring it out. So this kind of a separation is is inevitable when we are looking for a particular thing. So this is what is very important. And it says that just like that, the person who separates out everything and stands out as that very Atma gets moksha, comes out successful, freeing himself from bondage, is what is mentioned here. So we have to understand this whole identification. What is this game of identification? So let's see normal examples. At what level we identify ourselves. I think last time also I mentioned some of these things. Okay. So in a hall, or take the example of a factory. So in a factory, there is one gentleman who's kind of the fire safety head, you can call him. So when he identifies, so normally in a factory setup, what he identifies himself as? He identifies himself as the person who's the main person responsible for safety. Though safety, of course, is everyone's responsibility as well. But he's the one who gives all this knowledge to others and training to others. And he's the one who has to ensure that everyone comes out successfully, whenever there is a kind of incidents. So when he identifies himself as, when he wears the cap, that cap, I think is a nice idiom used actually. When you wear the hat of fire security person, a safety person, your identification becomes total with all the employees. So when a role is given, you identify with that role. So when you are identifying with that role, you will not be stopping until the time the last person is rescued. That's the responsibility given. And this person, of course, he has to also protect himself from fire so that he can protect others. But he identifies himself very clearly saying, I am this person, I am supposed to do this role, and he performs that role and comes out, that particular role, and comes out successfully. So normally what they do, they say that fine, once people come out, stand in a place, count yourself. So they know that if 100 guys were inside, and if all these 100 have come out, they don't need to look for anyone. So this is the kind of exercise. So here the point is that the person is identifying with the role, with a given role, and he performs that role. Until the time he finishes that responsibilities of the role, he has to keep working on it. So identification is not physical alone. It has a lot to do with a mental disposition. So when a person is told that you are so and so, for example, if a person is taught to for example, be a soldier. So this person is given all this idea about this, Desha Bhakti, all this is given, this is programmed actually kind of. So he now carries the entire nation on his shoulders. So when he's facing the other person who is also with weapons, this person has that particular responsibility. Is I'm taking the responsibility of the safety of my nation. So this is my role. So I better shoot him down. So I can't even think whether I should shoot him down or not. I better shoot him down. So it is his identification with that particular role that gives him enough guts to even operate that particular equipment, which is the weapon. So one needs to identify oneself with the role normally to be able to perform certain tasks. Now, minus these roles, when we come just to a person, minus roles at that point in time, now we have to see what is the identification we have. The identification we have is normally with gross body. That is the normal understanding. If someone says, hey, get up, so you automatically tend to get up. Don't come here, go to the next room, automatically you move your body to the next room. So this identification is normally understood in every transaction amongst all beings. So since this is a universal understanding, this understanding is taken to be absolutely correct, because that is the understanding every human being has. Even animals also have similar understanding, if you say. So they also have the same understanding that yes, this gross body plus the entire body mind sense complex, a being which is in the nature of all this flesh plus everything, is oneself. This identification is a default setting. You can call it like a factory setting, which is there in all mobiles kind of, this is a setting you have. So everyone has this setting that I am this. So minus any role, simple understanding of us is that I am this body. And of course, for you to have the sense that I am this body, that antakarana also has to be there, the mind also has to be there, because mind is the one which keeps sensing, right? So that has to be also there. So when one takes oneself to be body, that itself is enabled by mind only, automatically. So that is understood only when pointed out actually. But finally, it is the mind which, calls the shots, you can say. So as a person inside, mind operates and mind takes, mind keeps operating. As long as it operates, it takes body to be oneself. So basically, we are talking about identification of oneself. Now, Shastra presents the identification at different levels, and even we also see this understanding at different levels during our worldly transactions itself. No, that's okay. So even in our worldly transactions, this is how things work. For example, when you have to go for a physiotherapy, it is something which is very, very physical, right? So you have to just listen to the therapist, and if the therapist says fine, lie down this side, so that they can operate either ultrasonography or whatever it is in terms of the therapy, they will operate, and they will kind of operate in the sense they will use the right equipments, or if their hands or whatever in that particular part, and give the relief. So here we are talking about a gross stuff, a gross body part. So here we always transact with the world in line with what the understanding is, what the context is. So when the situation is gross, yes, definitely gross body is what is meant. At least in the case of a physiotherapy, gross body is meant. Give me just 1 minute. The same thing if one has to go for counseling. Okay, so here, as a person who needs help, definitely it has this gross body plus mind mixture. Okay, so you can't say that therapy is not for gross body. I will send the subtle body to the counselor. The counselor sitting there is also gross body plus subtle body only. So you can't send बच्चा तुम चले जाना, मुझे तो आने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. This is not what we can do. So you have to travel to that place wherever you have to meet the counselor. What the counselor does is, the counselor brings the attention of mind. Of course, initially he or she will greet, hello Mr. So-and-so, please come, sit, do you want a glass of water? These are all gross body transactions. And as the therapy starts, he or she would, just give me a minute. Yeah, as the therapy starts, he or she would invoke mind of that person. Okay, because it is mind with whom that person wants to transact. Because the problem which is present is located in the mind. So this is why it is not enough that the person has come there and with gross body and he is sitting there and he has had everything, coffee or tea, what you have offered with happy face. It's not enough. But he or she has to invoke his mind. So in invoking the mind, what this person has to do? This person has to make them aware of their antahkarana. They have to bring that close in terms of concentration. In this process, what is achieved is, while mind becomes active, body's activities are subdued. So body's activities are subdued at the point in time and mind is made active, so that mind is available for counseling. So here, now you see the identification, the identity changes. At that point in time, the identity changes. Imagine another situation of chakra meditation. In yoga itself, you have a yoga asana and you have this meditation part of it. When asanas are performed, the instructor will clearly say, lift your leg, lift your hand, bend your knees, or don't bend your knees. All these instructions are for gross body, asanas. Now when you come to meditation, dhyana, in dhyana, what's happening is, first the gross body has to be kept intact in any particular position. Okay, if you are lying down, you will sleep, so they will not allow that to happen. So they will make you sit properly, intact in such a way that, okay, the prana can keep moving properly, breathing can happen nicely, and the situation is such that you don't have pain in any part of the body. So that gross body doesn't disturb you, and it is just there and not disturbing you. So this level is achieved, and then dhyana happens, because dhyana is for the mind. Now when someone says, okay, just imagine your Shakti to be at the place of Kundalini, at the place where the Kundalini starts. So that is Muladhara Chakra, probably that is what is mentioned. There are 6-7 chakras which is mentioned in Yoga Shastra. So anatomically they may explain saying, okay, fine, it's just above the navel or below the navel or towards the heart or exactly in this place of throat. They can give you some indication of this location. But one need not touch to feel it actually. One has to train one's mind to be able to identify these places inside one's own body. Is it possible? It is possible. It is very much possible, and that's why that body of knowledge is still working. So here, gross body is given a particular asana, mostly Padmasana or similar Sukhasana or whatever, and then you're supposed to be intact, and now gross body's role is gone. It is just there and prana is just going in, and it's a normal involuntary breathing that is happening, but it would be a deep breathing because they would have already given that tact as well. Once this is achieved, there is no role for gross body. then it is only the subtle body that is getting addressed. Then the instruction comes, just concentrate here, be there, and slowly move it little bit above at this place. Can you feel this? All these instructions is for just listening and feeling those chakras. And since we have something called prana, which is what makes finally, mind is made up of many things actually, many things put together. And this prana, when it keeps moving, it is something which keeps moving. That's the reason we can, bring our concentration to a particular part or take it away from it. Normally, you would have seen that, when someone is pricking you or a needle prick or whatever it is, you want to take away your concentration from that particular place for a moment so that you don't have that problem. The problem becomes a little reduced. Sometimes for some people, if they can really take out the concentration from that particular part, they won't even feel the pain also. Even to that extent, someone can kind of control that concentration actually. It's possible. So, this exercise, these instances show that yes, when body is intact, not performing any transaction whatsoever, there is another indweller who is able to identify himself, who is able to respond when he is given instructions, and he is able to respond close to a way where someone is guiding him or her. So this is happening. So then your identification of being this gross body moves away from there to subtle body. For example, if you are in a house and you are able to move around and house is intact, you identify yourself with that moving thing which you are. To that extent, you are that gross body. Okay. Now, when gross body is intact, you identify yourselves with a kind of indweller. This person is able to move here and there inside this. Then automatically you are able to get another level of identification, which is the subtle body. To this level, it is very clear. So this experience is enough for us to proceed further. So at every level, this identification, this boundary is very important. First, we started with the boundary of a factory where we were the head of safety there. So there the boundary is so huge. I mean, you are responsible for thousands of employees. From there, reduced to a different level, then to a level where there is minus role. We are just talking about this biological setup where we are born and we are keeping on growing. This setup alone we want to discuss. There, automatically given the default setting, which is understanding with gross body, that continues. Then when you go for counseling or a chakra meditation, the indweller in terms of subtle body is much more pronounced and available. And it is available only because you identify at that level. That's the reason it is available. So now you are saying, yes, I am this, I am able to do this. So there is a separation possible between gross body and subtle body. Same example you have when you are dreaming. Gross body is just sleeping, and in fact, luckily, nature has given us this kind of default asanas, you can call it. So when you sleep, automatically you sleep well, and to show that there is someone who is inside, you also have the chance of dream. So Swapnavastha is a very nice concept for us to be able to separate oneself from gross body, from the sense of identification. So that's a very good thing as well. So it's naturally available. So you don't need a yoga teacher to give you Swapna experience. You have to only sleep. That's all. As long as one is able to sleep, of course. So if you sleep, you understand that fine, gross body is all intact, but there is a world created inside by someone who is also transacting with that particular world and also partaking that sukha or dukkha of that particular world. So you do appreciate that there is someone inside, and in fact that is you only, and you only own that. Right? Each one of us, we own our own dreams. We never say that, oh, he dreamt. That's a real objectivity. That's a different thing. This objectivity you will get when you have Aikya. But normally, until then we say, I dreamt this. So this is what you say. So each of us do identify ourselves with our subtle body, knowing fully well that subtle body is able to operate without the help of gross body. So this experience is always there. So in this context of separating things out, we have to just bring in these things which are happening in our daily life to understand that is there a separate identification at different level possible? Yes. And Shastra goes further. Shastra goes further to explain the next level also, which is causal body, right? That is Karana Sharira. And Karana Sharira is associated with deep sleep, where we do not have dreams. Now, in deep sleep state, mind is completely resolved. Completely resolved. This is why dream is not happening, because mind can never keep quiet. If it is there, it will keep thinking, because thinking is its work. That is its nature. If mind is there, it will think. So this is what its nature is. So it will keep doing what it's supposed to do. Now when mind is resolved, Sukshma Sharira is kind of completely resolved, and what remains there is Karana Sharira. First, in the yoga posture, gross body was kind of kept silent, then subtle body was operative. Similarly, in your dream, gross body was kept in abeyance, subtle body was working. In Sushupti, subtle body is also kept in abeyance. And what is active? Nothing is active. Because the one who can activate anything in terms of body is that mind, basically the Sukshma Sharira. Karana Sharira, it is not generally available for transaction. It doesn't get involved in transactions. It's a silent observer and silent collector of karma and karma phala. So he's just that's where the real ignorance is located actually. And he's not available for an analysis under the microscope. Not at all. Because mind, which understands everything of this world in terms of transaction, basically through five senses, outside five senses as well as inside impressions which are there, it can pick up the memory and it can create its own world. So all this it is able to do. But when mind is resolved, that is when deep sleep state happens. Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti. Sushupti happens when mind is completely resolved. So there is no thought whatsoever. So when there is no thought, there is no sense of anything outside. So outside senses, they fall within space and time. Anything for that matter. Both these are not experienced during Sushupti, because mind is the one who experiences everything. Now, the Karana Sharira is not really available for transaction. This person is one who has the ultimate conclusion that I am this. That's where that identification is. I am this. So that I am this is enough to create another birth. Because one is craving that I want this transactionary world and I still have something to get out of this transactionary world. This ignorance itself is a big energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted. It will take another body. That's all it will do. So this keeps happening. So to a yogasana teacher, asana teacher, gross body becomes the subject. To a meditation teacher, Sukshma Sharira, first is Sthula Sharira. To a meditation teacher or a counselor, Sukshma Sharira becomes the subject. Now, to a person who is performing the rituals for Pitru, we can take it as, anytime you do it on Amamasya or on the day when probably these people would have expired, they would have left the Sthula Sharira, or during Mahalaya Paksha. Whenever people do this, those kartas who are supposed to do the rituals, when they do, they address Karana Sharira. So Karana Sharira is the subject of all Pitru based rituals. So when you are invoking them with that actually. So normally there is a name given. There is always a Sharma name given actually normally. So with that name only they are called, because all through we have been identifying ourselves with the name. So when the name is called, it's a sound actually. So obviously you respond. This happens. This is how it is presented to us. So basically the Karana Sharira is the one which has all the impressions, which has also body, but it has its own kind of rupa. It has got its own, it is body. That's the reason it has to have a rupa. It has boundary. It is still bound. That's what is, the boundary is what is bondage actually. When you have a boundary, you have bondage. Simple. So that Karana Sharira identifying itself as, yes, I am this. and I have so much of unfulfilled desires for which I need another opportunity to be able to transact with this world, and this is what brings you to world. And if, for example, if Sunita Williams happens to, desire, she's already reached perhaps moon. I don't know, she was somewhere, in some orbit and she came back. So assuming she went to moon, okay, and now she will say that fine, and supposing she is kind of somewhere in 100th year and she says, no, I want to really have an opportunity to be able to be in Jupiter, in fact even Saturn. So if that is the wish, it will be granted, because that wish is saved in that particular Karana Sharira. It will be granted because desire is Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he is available in everyone's heart as a desire itself, very desire itself. So if you have desires, unfulfilled desires, it is energy, it is Krishna himself, automatically you are going to be manifested wherever you want to get manifested. It is just law, that's all. See, you are in a system, and for example, you know that acid and base will react to form salt and water, irrespective of, whether you like it or not, that's going to happen. That is going to happen. So dharma works that way. It is an order. We only keep understanding how the order is and kind of manipulate within that, and then try to keep living with our own identification. This is what happens. So when we have to do this Vivichya Tatra Pravilapya Sarvam, having segregated everything there. So this word is so nice actually. I love this word actually. Munjadi Shikama Drashya Vargat. So of all the categories of grass, whatever is available there, Pratyanjam Atmanam Asangam Akriyam. Basically the one which is not at all bound is what is doing everything. That's a different thing. Then Vivichya Tatra Pravilapya Sarvam. So having identified, having separated out all that what that particular Durva is not, you arrive at Durva. In that then you finally go much more deeper and then finally take out what you want from there. So this entire inquiry involves giving away the wrong identities, the wrong identifications which are there as a default, because it is being pointed out, and also we understand that yes, the pointing out is working, it is correct. And this way you identify, fine, this boundary I erase, this boundary I erase. So first of all, to erase the boundary, you should know where the boundary is. To give away bondage, you should know where are you bound, in what nature you are bound, and who is bound. Only then the bondage can be removed. If I am not tied, if someone else is tied, and I am saying, boss, I am tied, so how can someone give me relief? I think there was a, maybe this was a WhatsApp stuff where it was said this way. Okay, so this was associated with camel or maybe a cow. So this gentleman who used to manage the cows, what he used to do was he used to take them to a particular pole and show that this cow is tied to that particular pole. So interestingly, the cow didn't move away beyond a particular radius, which normally used to be there, in terms of the rope, the length of rope, whatever rope length was there. So it was only moving in that particular radius, imagining that rope, because that person had shown that that cow is bound to that particular pole. Now the next day, when this was experimented only on one particular cow, you can say. So next day, all other cows, when the gate was opened and they get the signal saying fine, they can go for grazing, somewhere at a distance. They have to travel to some place and then go for grazing. This cow alone didn't move at all. So one was asking, was those which were tied, when removed they went off. This gentleman is not even tied actually. How come he is not moving along with the herd? So that's where he was saying that he has to know that he is free. He is thinking he is bound. So automatically, even if he is not bound, I as Shastra has to go and give the gesture of untying so that he feels he is free. So Shastra is actually doing this. At the level of Shastra, it comes with this understanding that here you are not even bound. and you are coming to me and saying you are bound. Now I have to remove you of bondage, set you free of bondage. How can you even do? You are not even bound actually. Okay, no problem. I will go systematically, accept your problem, give you the sense that you are free. But when the sense of freedom comes, you really understand you are never bound. This is what happens. We are all this cow actually. We are all this cow which is not bound, but we have the sense of bondage. This is why this person asked, Ko nama bandha? What is bondage? Kathamesha agataha? How did this come about? Now you just imagine that cow which is not bound, imagining itself to be bound because of the gesture, for example. Okay. Now it is thinking it is bound. Now this cow is asking you, boss, can you tell me, how did this rope bind me? There is no rope. And what is this bondage? I'm feeling I'm stuck to this actually. Why is it so? How did this come about? Kathamesha agataha. Now imagine from that sense of cow. Katham pratisthasya. How does this get established? Katham vimokshaha. How come I can come out of this? These questions, when this cow is putting in this sense, just imagine what the gentleman who's handling that cow herd or shepherd, whosoever, the way how he will think actually. Shastra actually has this thinking when the person asks this question. But Shastra definitely will not feel bad about it, because yes, it knows what has happened and it can give the account of what has happened, thereby releasing this person from samsara, from the imagined bondage. And believe, this imagined bondage is much stronger than even the truth. In fact, you can say mithya is even more powerful than satya. In a way, we can say that actually, because during one's life, minus any such input coming from, any such clue coming from outside, one has no chance to actually think that one is not bound. No chance. I mean, you are just bound from one place to another place, another place to another place, one situation to another situation. It's an amazing roller coaster that keeps you so engaged that you don't pause. And even if you want to pause, someone will say, fine. L&T's MD said, what do you want to do on Sunday sitting at home? Come to office and work. So this is what this guy said actually. So even if you really want to pause and kind of have a chance to stumble upon saying, no, let me understand, if the gross body settles down, am I Sukshma Sharira? And maybe what else can be? So you want to have some kind of contemplation. But anyway, sometimes you will have some people like this who will say, no, come to office on Sunday. So you don't have any more contemplation time. So Maya is amazing. Jagat is amazing actually. So one has to have really luck to be able to pause, think, introspect, and come out of this seeming bondage. In fact, the seeming bondage is the real word actually. And the bondage is only seemingly there. It is really not there. That's what Shastra is going to reveal later. And this is what I want to share in the sense of this. Munjadishikam Vedrishyavargat Pratyanjam Atmanam Asangam Akriyam. That which is not at all available to any transaction, that is what is there. That is what is kind of, you're doing even during doing the inquiry. It's witnessing everything that's happening. Vivichya Tatra Pravilapya Sarvam, having segregated everything amongst the categories and amongst whatever you have available there. Tadatmana Tishtati Yaha Samuktaha. As we keep inquiring, our identity of being an inquirer keeps changing from gross body to subtle body to causal body, and causal body to the witness of all these bodies. So in Tattva Bodha, when Atma is defined, it says Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatirikta, the one which is beyond all these three bodies. Panchakosha Atita, all these five pranas, Panchakoshas basically. You are away from all these Panchakoshas. So whether you see the mental sheath, Ananda, there are five koshas we have actually. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vinyanamaya, Anandamaya. So these koshas, I'm sure it will be also coming here later. So we are beyond all these five sheaths, the koshas, where we identify ourselves. And San Avasthatraya Sakshi, and it is also the witness of three avasthas. For each of these bodies, we have the corresponding avastha. Jagrata avastha and Swapna avastha, Sushupti. So Jagrata is gross body, Sthula Sharira. Swapna avastha is for Sukshma Sharira, and Sushupti is for Karana Sharira. So the corresponding states. So Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatirikta Panchakosha Atita San Avastha Trayasakshi. Now it says it is beyond all these things which you normally confuse yourselves to be. That's the reason it was segregating. Vivichya Tatra Pravilapya Sarvam. So where we normally confuse ourselves, these are the places where we normally confuse ourselves to be, oneself to be. This is the reason it is saying Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatirikta. It is beyond this. Panchakosha Atita, beyond these. Sun also. Avastha Traya Sakshi. It is a witness of this Avastha, not the Avastha itself. In Tamil we use the word Avastha very nicely. Normally in a sense of pain actually. What kind of Avastha it is, we can always say this. So Avastha is a nice word. Avastha Traya Sakshi. It is a kind of witness to all this Avastha. Now positive statement is being made of this. So one is not all these things, Atma is not all these things, but what is it? Last line says, Satchidananda Swarupaha Sanyastishtati. The one which is of this nature is Atma. Actually it is Nirguna. But if you call the inquirer, which is mind, which only understands words, pictures, inference as much as possible, and you say, boss, you are Nirguna, understand this. So what will it understand? There is nothing to say because any word is Guna. So to explain Nirguna, I don't need to use any word. That's what is God. What is God? That's what is God. Isko repeat karne se kuch nahi hone wala. So you have to finally say something about it, even though it is Nirguna. So the statements which are made, the words which are kind of indicatively used are Sat, Chit, Ananda. You can also call it Ananta, never ending. So Sat is that which exists, which alone exists without changing at all in any measure. Chit, it is of the nature of consciousness. It is existing. How do I understand it? What is the proximate clue that I can get? Consciousness is its nature. To cognize anything, that capability is its nature. And this is the closest thing we know. That yes, we recognize things. And here we should understand that it is consciousness plus all this sharira that is in operation when sensory perception is happening. And it is the same consciousness plus all these instruments which is creating inference. The ability of perception and inference is, in terms of transactionary perspective, it is these three bodies, but the ultimate cognizer is oneself, which is that Atma. Without that, none of these things will work. For example, if you are taking a microscope, anything for that matter, there space is already there. You don't have to take space also along with when you take microscope and keep for analysis, you take the microscope and microscope space also kind of. It is just there. It is just there actually. It is given. Like that, Atma is everywhere. It is just given. You don't have to create it actually. You don't have to shift it from one place to another. It is just given. That is the only thing which is there actually. That is the only thing which is there. That is why it is Sat. And for mind, if it is said that it is Sat, ठीक है भाई वो सत्य है तो मैं क्या करूँ? It is available as Chit. This is where mind can connect. Oh, okay. My thought is basically illuminated by this consciousness. This is where the identity switch has to happen. An identity switch, how it will happen? Once you understand mind to be Karana, a tool, the one who uses the tool or one who witnesses the tool working is always separate from it. And he need not see himself in the mirror. Why should one's existence is not proven just because we get up every day and see ourselves in the mirror? No. Even if a person is in coma, his existence is very clearly identified. He will only say that I didn't recollect what was happening, but definitely I was there. Simple. A person coming out of coma or anesthesia says I was there. Not that I was not there, I was always there. I didn't experience what was outside of me. I didn't experience the world, but I was there. That's the reason I'm here now. So that witness part of it. But normally, when the person says coming out of anesthesia, they normally pick up the wrong understanding again. With that idea only, they keep talking. They don't introspect. But Shastra says very clearly, because you are the witness of all the thing what is happening. when you know that there is mind which can be manipulated, which someone can give instruction and make it work, and you observe it, you are saying that yes, my mind. When you say my mind, it is not you. When you say my intellect, it is not you. So aham is different from mama, me and mine. When it is mine, I am not that. I have to be different from that. So basically, in the word Sat Chit Ananda, Chit is very, very important, because that is the closest thing which one understands. As you think, unless this cognitive ability as the basis, very basis is available, nothing can work. It is in this particular ability where a person who is dull or a person super most intelligent, they use only this as the basis. So it's a question of identification, and all the way it is a question of identification, only self-identification. That's why this Atma, who is the self, has to be understood very clearly with a proper vichara. So tadatmana tishtati yah samuktah. In this way, when you take out what you are not, when you identify yourself what you are in terms of Satchidananda Swarupa, job is done. That invisible bondage which was seemingly there but actually not there is gone. This is what I wanted to share. I can see it's already 7:23. Fine. This was a long one, but I wanted this to be that way. In fact, I was closing my eyes all the way through because I just wanted to visualize the world which I wanted to present. I didn't even open my eyes. So this is very tricky, and you have to really go subtle, unsubtle to become the total gross, to become the total world. It's beautiful actually. I mean, you are cornered to a level where, kind of you're distilled to a level that everything that you are not is precipitated and thrown out actually, or, evaporated actually. And what you are is presented as yourself, boss. Finally, you are this kind of, something like, you put everything into kind of a test tube and, take out everything out of it. Actually, everything goes out. Finally, you say, boss, you are the test tube in which everything is there. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I was always looking at the solution which was inside or something outside. So, kind of, the identification is very important, and Shastra presents one's identification as the ultimate. It is saying, boss, you are the basis on which everything is here, and you are thinking you are stuck in this boundary of whatever you are saying. You draw a boundary and come to me asking, what is bondage? You draw the boundary. This is where the problem is. Erase the boundary. There is no bondage. That's what it is. When we have Pakistan occupied Kashmir, it is kind of in a drawn boundary. Erase it, you have Pakistan with you. Simple. So this is how it is actually. I want to just present this, and this example given itself is a very nice example. Munjadi shikam drishya vargat vivichitatra pravilape sarvam. It's a very nice example. Simple example Shankaracharya ji is given. I thought I should just delve a little bit more into this so that one understands at what level one has to really be aware of, at what kind of minute level. Only then this vichara will be successful. One needs to really think, unthink. This churning is nothing less than a centrifugal process. It's like a centrifugal process where it's really amazing. This centrifugal process also, I love this a lot. Normally, when you have water and you want to dissolve something into this, some solvent into this, take sugar. So you put sugar and you just put sugar, it just lands and it is there normally. It doesn't become a solution immediately. So what do you need to do? Put some energy, tick, 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 tick. And when you do this tick, tick, tick with a kind of spoon, it is basically centrifugal force. There also, it's a simple centrifugal force you are doing actually there. Now, one level of centrifugal force makes that sugar mix and form a solution with water. This is one level. Now you put this into a centrifuge, basically where that machine rotates with maybe so many times RPM, rotation per minute they call it, maybe lakhs of or 10,000s of rotation per minute. And what we do is maybe this is 100 per minute, something like this. If you take it to 10,000 or 1 lakh per minute, that kind of a speed, what happens is that sugar cannot sustain in that solution. It is taken out, water is thrown out and sugar alone remains. This happens in centrifuge. So it's very amusing to me actually. Saying, boss, simple centrifuge energy does this. Take it to the higher RPM it separates. Amazing it is. You can't do it otherwise. You have to put it in a centrifuge to really be able to do it, or you should get into distillation as a process. So that's the reason I'm using the distillation process or the centrifuge process, so that the churning has to be so much that everything that you are not is thrown out. What you are, you remain what you are, you obtain yourselves as what you are, which is Satchidananda Swarupa. This churning has to keep on happening. This is what Vichara is all about. And as you do Vichara, keep up with sadhana, which is meant for Chitta Shuddhi. Because you can understand how subtle this is going actually, how subtler this is going. For that, definitely you appreciate that you need this kind of a mind which has to be able to grasp the concepts. So this is what I wanted to reiterate. Now I open the session for questions. I know it's already 7:27, but whosoever is available, please ask questions. Maybe it'll take some time for people to kind of assimilate whatever I've said. I can imagine that. If I don't see any hand going up, probably then we can chant invocation mantra. I'll give another 1 minute. We still have another 2 minutes to go. You can think until then. Looks like everyone is churning actually. Yeah? Good. Please continue doing that. We will chant the concluding verses and sign off with this thought, and keep reminding yourself that Chitta Shuddhi is very important. It can come with prayer or all the sadhana which is mentioned in the initial part of Vivekachudhamani. Shama Udama Uparamastitiksha, Shraddha Samadhanam, Viveka Vairagya and Mumukshutva. So these things you have to keep on applying. In terms of karma, those things definitely have to be done. For Chitta Shuddhi, every karma is useful. For Jnana, karma need not be stressed upon. Only it is Vichara. If you call Vichara as karma, so be it. To that extent it is fine. But otherwise, Vichara is what is very important, along with having a pure mind. Okay, we'll chant Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om, all of you.
Hari Om Bhaskar.